Hi, my name is Philip Anderson from Cross Culture Therapy, and today we're going to talk about depression in third culture kids, and more specifically about separation anxiety. So, TCKs, stay tuned. Separation anxiety disorder, or SAD for short, pertains to the feeling of anxiety experienced by an individual at the thought of being separated from a person or a place. Uh, an example of separation anxiety, it can be that of a toddler being separated from their parent the first day at preschool, or a dog being separated from its owner when the owner goes to work. These are two very simplistic examples of separation anxiety, and in order for it to be a disorder, it has to repeat itself, and is quite prevalent within adults as well. So, if you have a separation anxiety disorder, you've experienced this feeling repeatedly at many different stimuli, and not just at the thought of being separated from your parent when you're a little kid, or the thought of being separated from your owner if you're a dog. These are two case by case examples. Separation anxiety disorder is a more thoroughgoing experience throughout the duration of your lifetime at many different forms of separation. So, how does this apply to third culture kids? Find out in about 2 seconds. Third culture kids are children who have spent a majority of their formative years in a country outside or different to that of the passport country of their birth parents. So, an example of a third culture kid could be a Spanish child having grown up in Japan, or a Japanese child having grown up in Spain. And separation anxiety is prevalent amongst third culture kids due to their lifestyle. It's quite obvious when you think about it, actually. Third culture kids move around a lot, they move around permanently, and they also move around temporarily a lot. So if we first look at permanent movement in third culture kids, for example, if you're a child of a army personnel or a diplomat or a banker, and you might be residing in, if we stick to the example of Japan, you might be residing in Tokyo, and your dad might be working as a diplomat there. Then you would have made friends, and you would have made attachments to people in the local community and to other third culture kids living there. And then when your dad is forced or mother is forced to move because of their work, then you have to go with them. So you're going to have to sever those attachments, even though with modern technology you can keep connected in some form. You're still going to have to separate those attachments. So there's an separation anxiety at the thought of having to move away, and this is something that is a very realistic prospect amongst third culture kids, having to move away. You might think of your life as a 2 or 3 year cycle where you move around every 2 or 3 years, and that might be a very realistic situation for third culture kids. So there's a separation anxiety there, and there's also the reverse as well. You might be the one who's still staying there, and your friends might be moving, and you may never see those friends again, and you might only be 11 years of age, and your friends moving, and there's nothing to say that that relationship is going to continue, even though that person might be your best friend at that very moment. So there's a separation anxiety at either leaving or somebody else leaving there. So that is the permanent movement. In regards to the temporary movement, a lot of third culture kids, they go back to their passport culture during the holidays, maybe during Christmas, or particularly during the summer months. So they travel to their home country, and they reacquaint themselves with their relatives and maybe some friends there or some family friends there. And then at the end of summer, they have to move back to their country of residence where they go to school. So then they feel a separation anxiety at having to leave maybe grandma or grandpa behind. And you never know, there might be big changes in between the time that you go and the time that you come back as well. It might be 3 months, 6 months, or you might not even see them for a year or two, and you might not know what happens in that time. They might die, or they might get very sick, or they might get very old. They might change their personality a little bit. So there's a very strong sense of separation anxiety even when you just leave to go back home from the holidays, and vice versa as well. If you're at the end of a school semester or school term and you made some great friends, and maybe even you had some sort of love interest or something of the like, and you're faced with the prospect of leaving in a week or two, there might be a sense of separation anxiety at finally coming to that sweet spot of making some friends, and you're in a very good place, and then you have to leave and you have to spend 3 months in your passport country with your relatives. And in that time, as a child, 3 months is a very long time, so there might be a lot of changes. And when you come back, there's nothing to say that that person is going to be there or is going to be the same person when you come back as well. So there's the flip side of also returning to your residing country and meeting with your friends again. There's a separation anxiety at being separated from your friends again. So this is separation anxiety applied to third culture kids. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about how separation anxiety is displayed in adult third culture kids. Separation anxiety in third culture kids is often mistaken for death anxiety and anxiety of dying. This is obviously quite a normal anxiety. Most people are anxious of dying, but third culture kids display this symptom even from a very young age. As teenagers and as young adults, they are unreasonably afraid of dying, most of them. And this is actually a symptom of separation anxiety. Instead of being really being afraid of dying, you're afraid of separating yourself permanently from somebody else. So this is one example of how it is displayed in third culture kids. If you think that, if you realize that you are unreasonably afraid of death at a very young age, where you're physically fit and everything should be fine, then you might actually be suffering from separation anxiety, which has been formed during your childhood as a third culture kid. Another way separation anxiety is displayed is by the individual's over eagerness to make strong connections with other people. So they might dive into relationships a little bit too quick. They might have an urge to make a really good friend at where they're living, or they might even have an urge to make a new family member, or have a new loved one, have a new romantic relationship, and also really emphasize the permanence of it. So when they dive into a relationship, they often display signs of reassuring the other person that they're going to be there, because they themselves want to be reassured that that person is going to be there. So they offer that type of feeling up to the person. They make the person feel very comfortable, and they kind of overplay or show an over-eagerness in their relationship, and try to emphasize the strength of the relationship when the relationship in fact is very new. And this is a typical symptom, if you will, of separation anxiety, because people who suffer from separation anxiety want to reassure themselves that they have a sense of permanence in their lives, so they use this to overcompensate for the lack of permanence in their lives. Separation anxiety can lead to depression, like all other anxieties can. This is because most people feel ashamed that they can't control their anxiety, so they try to look at the root cause of their anxiety and try to control it even more. And they do so in the previous example of trying to get strong relationships when there's no real foundation for that strong relationship to be built upon, or through trying to control it in different ways by manipulating your feelings. And when this doesn't go well, or when you finally realize that the root cause of your anxiety is coming back and you're feeling anxiety even though you're trying to control it, then you feel down, it is a vicious cycle. You're feeling down, you hate yourself because you can't control your anxiety, and then your anxiety gets worse, and then this leads to depression. So this is how separation anxiety in third culture kids can lead to depression. If you feel like this might be something that rings a bell for you, then please go to our website www.crossculturetherapy.com and book a session with me. Otherwise, please like this video. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers as quickly as possible, so we can start making videos based on questions that you have. I would love to make a video based on questions that third culture kids have, a Nagini style video, and make it a weekly thing. I'm going to do that as soon as I get to 100 subscribers. So please subscribe to our channel, press the like button. It really helps the video get viewership. And also go to our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter accounts and like them as well. And I hope you have a great day wherever you are in the world, and take care.